All right, we got a busy morning going on. They've been busy in here all morning. Now it's my turn. We're going to talk Purdue Extension. I'm going to introduce the one person that I do know, Christopher Fogel. I'll let you introduce our other folks here.
Go ahead, you guys can introduce yourselves.
I'm Nora Bruns. I'm the 4-H educator.
And I'm Sabrina Gregory. I'm the ag educator.
Great.
How's it going?
Good. So what's the latest with Purdue Extension?
So one of the updates that I would like to share, I know if you're potentially friends with some of our fellow colleagues on Facebook, you maybe have seen their post, but...
Hold on a second, I messed up there. Let's try that again when we don't have any music playing in the background. I'll let you introduce everybody again.
All good. Christopher Fogel, and then we have Nora Bruns, our 4-H educator, and then Sabrina Gregory, our ag educator. So a lot of those that are listening probably also have heard whenever Catherine and Emily were in. Catherine Neese and Emily Dunn, they were our fellow colleagues that worked with us, and unfortunately, due to some federal funding cuts, their positions were eliminated through the Big Beautiful Bill and the cut of SNAP Ed. So for those community partners that had previously worked with them, or even community members that had been through some of their programming, unfortunately that is one of those pieces that we lost them in the office. So, you know, we still are close with them. Obviously, we talk with them throughout the days, but that is one of those big updates that kind of has happened because over the last 2 years, we've really integrated them into the community. They were doing, Catherine was doing a lot with just helping get funding in places. I mean, she was integral with the community garden with Sabrina, and Emily was doing a lot of nutrition education programs. So it was a huge loss, as all of those across the state. There was probably, I think, around 90 that ended up losing their jobs through that cut. So, you know, that's one of those pieces that you have to kind of deal with and move on. You know, when you get new administrations in and their goals and missions, that's one of those that you deal with it, and that's what we're doing now. So we're trying to pick up those loose ends and make sure that we continue the same amount of programming and advocacy for Purdue as what we were doing with them on board, because we used them a lot, and it's a little bit of a loss with them. So that is one of the updates, but that was the hopefully only downer update that we have, because we have a lot going in extension right now. We just got out of fair season, and we were just cleaning up in the office still from fair and state fair, so already starting to plan for next year's fair already. We have our 4-H stuff, and I can let Nora kind of talk about that come up, but on my side of things within the health and human sciences, one of the big areas that I've been focusing on a lot recently are a lot of home food preservation practices. So in the state of Indiana, there's only 12 of us that are trained to offer programming, just because it is such a specific science. So I've been getting a lot of calls recently about this is going on, it didn't seal, or this recipe, how do I do it? So that's one of those big things. I have offered a couple classes recently, so watch out for those. I don't have any right now planned because I kind of, moving into September, you get out of that area just a little bit. There's still things being some of those late harvest options, but it is one of those pieces that's been a big program area for me here recently. So one of the big questions I get often is tomatoes and how they should be canned. So whenever we're doing home food preservation, what we look at, whether we are going to hot water bath something or pressure can it, is we have to look at the pH of the item. Tomatoes have been selectively bred over the last decade to reduce the level of acid to make them more palatable, which also reduces their pH level. So if you're going to hot water bath can tomatoes, you have to acidify them by adding lemon juice or ascorbic acid or something, citric acid, where you're making the environment acidic enough that you're not going to have issues with any kind of microbial activity. Or if you don't acidify them, you have to pressure can them, because with pressure canning, we want to get the temperature to 240 degrees in a canner, and that is what renders most of our organisms inert. So things like Clostridium botulinum, which is what everybody immediately shudders when they think about canning, is I don't want to give somebody botulism and kill them, and if I do something wrong. That's where whenever we're pressure canning, we need that temperature. So just boiling water is only 212 degrees. That won't do it. Because the issue with Clostridium botulinum is that it's not the organism that makes you sick. It produces a spore, and it's that spore that we ingest that then will cause our neurologic issues, which is what ends up happening with botulism. So we need that pressure to reach 240, and that's what kills those spores. So that's one of those that if you're not canning your tomatoes one of those two ways, you're probably not doing it correctly, and just to be very aware. So that's one of those that we get those questions all the time, and I always like to share one of the fun facts that I think about with tomatoes is at one point in time they were called poison apples. And whenever they were first imported into the Americas, only the rich and the aristocrats could afford to have tomatoes, basically. So it was very much the new trendy thing to try these tomatoes that were coming in from overseas. And what was happening is a lot of the aristocrats that were eating them were also dying. So then people were assuming that these were poisonous. Well, at that point in time as well, the other big item that was hot and popular was pewter tableware. And so if anybody is a metallurgist out there, the base metal of pewter is lead. So what was happening is they were serving meals on these pewter plates. The acid from the tomato was leaching lead out of the plate, and then the aristocrats were actually dying of lead poisoning. But if you then run that idea parallel with barbecue across America, if you look at the Carolinas, it's all vinegar based, because at that point that's how we preserved, and everybody hated tomatoes, so you don't see it in any recipes that are a traditional recipe of the area. As you move across America and you get into like Tennessee, then it's a mix of vinegar and tomato because we started to readopt it. And then as you move into Kansas City, once we continue to populate America, it's almost a pure tomato based barbecue sauce. So it's one of those things that it's an interesting fact, but tomatoes are be aware when you're doing it, because if you're not doing it accurately, it could be a potential issue. So just be mindful. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the office. The best way to look up proven and research-based recipes are through Georgia, University of Georgia. So they set the mark on home food preserves, whether that's canning, drying, dehydrating, freezing, fermenting. They are the ones that even Purdue reaches out to them typically and asks questions. So they have a directory online, and if you just look up the National Home Food Preservation website, it will take you right to it, and then you can search anything. So if you have a garden and you have okra, you're like, I have no idea how to preserve this, how to put it up, can I do it? You search okra and it will give you all of the different options of how you would do it. So that's the first place we go to, but that's kind of what's been going on outside of helping fair stuff, because August is, we spend a lot of time at the state fair as well working, so that's where we've been over the last month and doing other programs here in the county. So that's kind of what I have kind of going for myself right now.
Yeah, so kind of flowing into 4-H, it's kind of that in-between period right now for us. So we've just finished up both the regular fair and the state fair. So like we said, we were kind of cleaning, trying to get everyone to get in, get projects picked up. That way we can kind of get a good clean, so that way when October rolls around, enrollment opens back up. So we'll start getting kids re-enrolled. So it's something they have to do every single year is enroll. So we use the 4-H online platform to do that, and our volunteers also have to do the same thing. So it's an every year process. So that's kind of where we're starting to switch gears from fair back into kind of that beginning of the year, get that process started. So kind of getting those enrollment events planned out and whatnot, so that way we can kind of get back into the schools, get programs up and going, and hit the ground running.
And talk a little bit about the in-school types of things that you do.
Yeah, so a lot of times it is more than just like the traditional, like what you think of as 4-H of doing the projects and bring them to the fair. So we also do school programming. So a lot of times it's more, what do you need? So schools will reach out and say, hey, we're really interested in like this or that. Could you come and do something on it? So like last year, I know we did quite a bit at the elementary school at Greensburg, just different topics. I know I'll like partner with Sabrina on some stuff of like animal-based or food-based, whatever it might be. So a lot of times it's more of a, what do you need? And how can I help you in that manner? So those are always really fun. I mean, that was my background. I was a teacher, so I love getting to get back into the classrooms and just have some fun with the kids. So kind of thinking outside of that traditional 4-H box with those kids and those kind of school programs.
You know, and students, they learn so much as they're growing up. We celebrate every year the 10-year 4-H members.
Yes.
And what they have to do, their projects over the course of that time, really takes a commitment and teaches them a lot about responsibility.
Yeah, so that is a really big piece of it, is just the responsibility of, there's so many little things with the 4-H program throughout the year, of just starting with that enrollment. So remembering to get enrolled, getting books picked up, actually working on your projects. So the fair is kind of just that end piece where they get to show off everything that they learned. So they start in October, technically, and they kind of pick their projects, they know what direction they want to go, and then they spend the whole year learning about that project and kind of enhancing their knowledge, their trades, their skills, whatever it might be. But the responsibility piece is a very, very large component of it, because, they're the ones that are doing the work. They are the ones that are creating the projects. They're putting in that time, that effort, and then knowing that they have to be responsible at the end when they do bring it to the fair for judging. So being able to stand there and explain, well, this is what I have learned, and this is my project, this is how I did it. So it is a culminating experience for those kids.
And I'm going to take a wild guess here. There's probably no such thing as too many volunteers.
Correct. Yeah, we are always looking for more volunteers. It seems like over the past couple years we've kind of dropped a little bit in numbers, so I would like to see those go back up, because yes, we can always use volunteers. So as traditional, the same people do the same things every year, so I would love to see some new faces. And it doesn't mean you have to be a volunteer that is a club leader, just being a volunteer to come out for a day or two the week of the fair, or here and there for whatever it might be. We can always use volunteers, so I would never gonna turn people away when it comes to that.
And talk about what's going on in your area.
Oh gosh, we've had so many, I think, little programs going on. I was out at the Southeastern Purdue Ag Center, which, if you don't know what a Purdue Ag Center is, Purdue actually owns 9 farms across the state of Indiana where they conduct research. And our closest one is in Jennings County in Butlerville. And so we had a field day. That's something that all the PACs do in the fall, to kind of showcase to local farmers and clients, hey, this is what we've been working on throughout the year. This is what's up and coming in the ag world. So we had that in Butlerville yesterday. We had a great turnout. I want to say there was about 200 people there.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yes. So really great turnout. We got to hear from all kinds of researchers. There's research going on in biologicals and short corn. Yeah, all kinds of things.
Yeah, people don't realize how in-depth all of that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So days like yesterday is just a great opportunity. We get people out on people movers, actually get them in the field. They get to speak one-on-one with specialists. And we have a lot of repeat customers. I know I talked to some people yesterday and they were like, I never miss this. I'm always here every year. And then tomorrow we'll actually have a pesticide applicator recertification program and farm safety day at the Next Gen barn here in Greensburg. So that's behind the Rural King, and we've got a really good program lined up there too. Our EMC will be doing a live line demonstration and kind of talking about what to do if your farm equipment gets tangled up in power lines. We'll have the hospital there talking about their Stop the Bleed training, and then also some things on hearing protection and what to do if you accidentally ingest any chemicals. And then we'll have Fred Whitford from the Office of the Indiana State Chemist Office come down and give a presentation about trailering kind of hazardous equipment as well. So I'm really excited for tomorrow's program. We do that in partnership with the Decatur County Soil and Water, and that usually has a pretty good turnout and a free breakfast. So if you're listening and you want to have some free breakfast, give us a call.
So, so kind of give an idea of, whenever we talk about the pesticide applicator recertification program, who is that targeted at? Who is taking it?
Absolutely.
Why are they doing it?
Yep, so our pesticide applicator recertification programs are for anybody that uses restricted use pesticides. So for those that don't know, pesticides are categorized either as general use, which means that anybody without a license can go out to the store and buy them. That's going to be things like what you see at Rural King or Walmart, kind of those like famous name brand things like Roundup or 7. But then we'll have restricted use pesticides, which have a lot more regulations involved with them. So if you are a farmer that is just spraying for your own use in your own fields, you would be considered a private applicator. And then if you are somebody that sprays for a business like Premier Ag or Cova or any of those co-ops, you would be a commercial applicator. And so a little bit different training there. And then we also offer points for certified crop advisors as well. So those are usually agronomists that work with co-ops. But yeah, so they have to go through trainings every year, get a certain amount of points to maintain their license. There's a pretty hefty exam process to get your initial certification, and then these classes help them maintain that and give them updated information on what's going on. I know part of those presentations I'm required to give a legal update, so there's a bunch of things that are changing there. I know a lot of federal rules have just been put in place this last year that now supersede state rules, so we make sure to get our applicators updated on that. The EPA is going to start including some by the label regulations for protecting our endangered species and things like that. And then also drone application has been pretty popular, so we've gotten updated rules on that as well.
And, as I was getting here this morning and I was turning onto Park Road, we see that big, beautiful building going up there in the corner of the fairgrounds. That's where your office is going to move to. Is there any projected date when you're going to get in there?
I don't know where the end date is now. The project was delayed a little bit by some just unexpected things, and it was supposed to be December area, but I would say it will be more late spring. But that's just guesstimating. So I don't know exactly when we'll get any out. So if you've been by it, the shell's almost up. There is going to be a stone facade that finishes the bottom, or a wainscoting, and then they'll begin the internals of it. So they're almost done getting the metal up, and it went up pretty quick. I mean, when they started to fly the steel in and set the girders and everything, it went pretty fast. But there's a lot of little things that you don't think about when a building like that goes up, where a lot of the trim and the drip rails and the guttering, that takes time to get it right and make sure it's not wavy and it's pitched right. So if you've not been out by the fairgrounds, go out and take a look. That's going to be a space that the exhibition part of it, which is the back, is going to be large enough to seat up to 600. So the hope is that we'll be able to host events there, or conventions and stuff to that nature, where we're going to progress the fairgrounds and increase its accessibility and revenue stream. So it's something that we will be in the front of that building. So our office will move. The current extension office, the plan as of right now is it's going to be maintained as a storage, basically, just because they did a study to look at, because they looked at maybe just tearing it down and then putting parking spots there. But the investment to tear it down and to then put in the spots, they were only going to gain like 20. So the value of the building to be storage, long-term storage, was more appealing. So as of right now, that's the decision. But as any construction project goes, it can change day in, day out. Because I know there's a couple of the blueprints that there's a few changes that have happened just from whenever they've started till now. So we're just fluid. We're just happy that they've allowed us the opportunity to have that space. Our office is nice now, but we're not going to turn down a new office, obviously. So it'll be a very good thing for the fairgrounds. It's going to be a super nice building. It's going to have full AV in it, so it'll be really slick.
So when you move into the new space, I know you're doing more with less from having people leave. Are there areas where you're going to be able to expand programs moving into that new building?
The programming will be virtually the same. The only thing that I don't know that I could visualize is, I don't know what there is going to be a kitchen space in the new building, and I don't know what that space will look like, because if that's larger and more of a commercial setup, that will expand some of our programming, because I think all of us at one point have done some programming around cooking, nutrition, that sort of thing. So if that space is larger, that could lend itself to expand our programming there, because that's one of those things when you're doing a cooking program or a demonstration or whatever, a demo kitchen is really ideal, because everybody can see what's going on. There's space around the stove, but I don't know if this one will be set up that way. I know at one point they talked about having it be a little more of a commercial style, but with that also comes a lot of preventative maintenance programming over the year that you have to maintain. So I don't know if we went that direction or not. That's outside of our pay grade. That we were not voted into those positions, and that's okay because our commissioners and councilmen are doing a great job of getting us this asset into the community. So that's where I could see the programming. And I guess to some degree it could expand Sabrina's potentially because it's going to be large enough to house and bring in large equipment. So if there was any kind of traffic safety training where we brought in equipment to display, it would be in a conditioned space where we could have large implements in that building. The largest overhead doors would be big enough to actually pull a full-size combine in, and the floor will be large enough to hold the weight of it and have space to walk around. So the hope there is that some of our local implement dealers will also see that and know that in those slow months in December, that's when they could potentially come to our space to do training in a nice area with AV, bathrooms, kitchen, that sort of thing as a training area. So that is one thing I could see kind of getting tapped in by the ag side a little bit with just the enormity of it. So I don't know what all we're going to do with it yet. That's kind of part of the excitement, I guess. There's potential that we don't know that's there yet. We know that there's some, but how we'll utilize it, what we'll do, I don't know. So it'll be exciting. I'm looking forward. It's fun to watch it go up, and the idea of because I know that the original extension office used to be on Main Street, right behind IGA years ago, and then it moved over to where it is now and I know Lana's she's probably screaming right now, in the late 80s, I think. I'm sure I'll get a text here in a second, and that's where it has been since. So we actually have a sign in the office. It's where you can see where they've peeled the tape off, where the original extension number was on it, and it was just one of the 4-digit numbers where it was 5-324 or whatever, where it was just, you probably called Sarah at the switchboard and said, I need the extension office. So it'll be good. I think it's going to be a really good asset to the community. I think it's a good investment. It's a good boost to the fairgrounds. I always talk about how our fairgrounds are too geographically located between Indy, Cincinnati, and Louisville not to be used more as a revenue stream. And now with this building, I see it being a convention space where there are different kinds of shows all over the place. This would be ideal for that, so hopefully that is one of those areas that we see that boost. So which would be awesome. I would be for that because then I could just step back and check out whatever shows are going on and go back to work. So.
Anything on that?
Yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what it brings for us. I think it'll be really good.
Yes.
And anything else for us this morning? Anything we missed out on?
Boy, I don't know. As we move into the winter months, we're getting ready to start into kind of our conference season. So we'll be doing program, but still kind of around. So doing programming, 4-H is we actually met with a community partner yesterday about potentially starting a new 4-H club and reaching a population of youth that maybe we wouldn't have reached before. So we're excited about that aspect because that opens up the door in so many ways, because when you look at data, youth that participate in 4-H post-secondary are more successful. And you also talk to anybody. So I didn't go to 4-H camp. I know Sabrina did. And when Sabrina talks about 4-H camp, it's one of those keystone times that she's like, I loved it. Even now, if there's an opportunity where she can go and help, it's not even a question. It's when do I need to be there? Lifelong friends are developed there.
Met my husband there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of aspects when it comes to 4-H that I wish we could get more people to see. It's not just the fair. It's so much more of a social investment, familial investment. It pays dividends in the long run. So. But our numbers are growing. Our volunteer numbers are stable. They kind of fluctuate, but our overall program numbers are up. And we're one of the only counties, really, I think, in the area that show as much of a growth as we have. So something's working. We're doing something right. So as long as we can continue to do that, that's going to be great. And this year, one of my goals is to continue to get into the schools. That's one of those things that over the last few years, we've kind of, with different changes with leadership, you kind of fall to the wayside a little bit if you're not in front of them. So continue to get in, do enrichment programming with youth as well as the teachers themselves. We worked with South last year and did multiple programs during their staff meetings where their students too So let us come in and do programming and, talk about things, whatever it might be. I think Sabrina did a goat yoga class there last year.
At South Decatur, yep, in February last year. We got about midway through the class, though, and then there was a gas leak, and that kind of ruined the zen of things.
Was it from the goat or from an actual gas line?
An actual gas line. But the firemen that were there were very excited to see the goats that were brought in. I think if we did that again, we would need to do it in an outdoor setting, though. The goats were not housebroke, so I was running around with a mop.
So, yeah.
The fun and
Yes.
excitement of the job. Yeah.
I mean, hey, goat poop is nothing unfamiliar for me.
And you talked earlier about enrollment. When is that coming up, and what do people need to do?
So enrollment opens in October, so October 1st we can start getting kiddos and volunteers signed back up. So if you just go on to, it's v2.4honline.com, but you can simply Google 4-H Online and it will pull up. And it's the same platform, so if you're new, it's a new platform that we use. You just basically create an account, and it's a step-by-step, kind of walks you through the process. If you're returning, you already have like an email and a password. You log back in and you re-enroll, and it's fairly painless. There's always problems. I mean, that's the great thing about technology. But if you have any questions, you can contact the office. The number is 812-663-8388, and one of us are more than willing to kind of help you through. And we do also have computers in the office, so if you're someone that's like, technology is not really my thing, but I really want to get, maybe my grandchild, whatever it might be, signed up, you can stop in the office, and we do have computers, and we can kind of help you through that process. So multiple ways to kind of find that link.
And that phone number again was?
812-663-8388.
Okay.
I did just think of one more thing. I've been working on it so much that it was in front of me and I forgot about it. I have a program coming up on September 18th called Market Ready. So for anybody that is a at-home vendor or somebody that falls under the kind of cottage laws, or they have freezer beef, or they're raising pork for consumption on the retail market, the Market Ready program exists to help those small producers go to the next level in the market, whether it's just going from home base to retail, or if you're retail, how to reach a larger retail space. We actually have somebody in the community that just opened up a permanent farm shop that went through the program, and we're hopefully going to have them back as a panelist, because part of the program, it's an all-day program, is we have panelists that come in, and then our participants of the program can ask them questions about how did you do this, what was a strategy you use, or what's a challenge, or we usually have Piazza that's there, which is a supplier, a restaurant supplier basically, and they usually have really good points of, hey, here's how you can get in contact with us, get contracted, whatever it is. But it really is going to go over a lot of your marketing and looking at liability and risk, and just how communication styles, what does your logo look like. So it's kind of soup to nuts as far as what that looks like. So if you're a small vendor or a small producer that wants to kind of reach that next level with your program, don't hesitate to reach out. The registration is still open. It is $75 for the class. You do get a large binder that has all the material in it, a catered lunch, and then the panelist, obviously. You'll get to hear from me and two of my colleagues throughout the day, but it's a pretty cool program. It's one of those that a large part of it as well is the networking aspect, because all of the small vendors, even though you may not have, like the last time we did it, we had somebody that hooked up they produced freezer beef, but then we had another couple that were there and they did pot pies, and like made a connection there, just where it was like, oh, we could always use more of ground beef or whatever it is. So like just that enough was, hey, yeah, we'll do that. And so we talk a lot about that and what that kind of looks like as well. So don't hesitate. Like I said, number 812-663-8388. I'm going to push something back out on Facebook today with it as well, and a registration link. So let us know if that's something you're interested in, and we'll see you there. So.
And on Facebook, where do they go? What is it on
If
Facebook?
you just search Decatur County, Purdue Extension Decatur County, you'll find us. We're pretty reactive on there, so if you send us a message, I think everybody in the office honestly has access to it. So we try and get back. It may just be hey, we'll get back with you tomorrow, but we saw your message, just because we don't like to leave people kind of hanging out there for days at a time. So it's funny. I didn't realize that this occurred, but I was responding to somebody in the Facebook Messenger for the office, and then Lana also saw the message, and she had more information to share. So then she replied, but it didn't like really give details. So then I was like, oh no, we've been hacked. There's somebody else like messaging. So then Lana's like, hey, that was me, by the way. And I was like, oh Lord, I was like kind of freaking out. So, but yeah, Facebook. We don't really have any other social medias. We do have a YouTube channel. We probably need to do more with that, because at one point we did quite a bit of video production during the COVID time, and we get requests for that. But doing the video editing is a lot to mix into things and to build your script and sit down and create a final product. But we do reach a lot of people that way, so we probably need to get back on that. So.
A new meet the team, since you cut all your hair off, so everyone
true.
can
I was gonna
recognize you
say,
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time, I think, because we need to go in and update, we do have a county webpage as well, and if you just Google again, Purdue Extension Decatur County, it'll pull it up. And our meet the team is, I look like I've got a really awesome. Oh, Market Ready is already on Facebook. Lana says, I have a really awesome bob haircut, or just a really awkward middle school girl look. So we need to. And for those that maybe don't know it, recently I donated about 12 inches of hair, so grew it out purposely to do that. So some of our pictures over the last few years for work are just really awkward stages of whenever my hair is wherever in it. So yeah, my headshot right now is not good.
My hair is a lot longer than the last time you saw me, and yours and your beard are shorter.
Yeah, I went the other way.
I switch roles.
I thought I was going to be really hesitant when the day came to cut it off, and I was ready to cut it off myself. So I empathize with anybody that ever says that they just get the urge to cut it off, because that's a real thing. That could be a studied project for somebody, because that's kind of where it is. Yeah, so we have multiple ways that you can reach out to us. We all have our own emails as well. You can find those on our webpage. We're pretty accessible. So it's always fun going out in the community, because we run into people all the time that know us, and sometimes we don't know who they are, but it's just because they've heard us on here a lot of times.
Yeah.
Where, we heard you talking about this on WTRE, and that's always cool, because it's all right, so we are reaching people, they are listening or seeing us. I don't know if they listen necessarily, but it's a cool
Do
thing.
we have any update on our annual meeting, or are we still ironing out details there?
So one of the things that we are going to try and do again this year is, last year we did an annual meeting, and we did a Halloween event, and we're going to try and do that again this year, and we're actually going to do it, and I don't want to steal thunder, we're doing it in partnership with another community organization that's planning a large-scale kind of trick-or-treat event. So we're going to do it at that same time, so I'm going to kind of soft open that, I guess, to the community, because I want them to finish their stuff out. So, but we're going to do the same thing that we did last time, where it's going to be an enrollment event. We're going to do our annual meeting, where we'll just kind of give updates on what we did as a office and as a unit. We also are going to be hosting a blood drive that same evening through Versity. So we'll have their mobile donation bus here. So that's something that once we get that finalized, you'll see that getting pushed out from that same time. So we're trying to make it I think the same idea with this community organization is that there's a lot of organizations in the community that do a trunk or treat, maybe a small one at their event, and it sometimes makes it a little difficult where all families have to shoot here, there, wherever. So this is going to be hopefully multiple organizations to do that together all at once, so then it kind of encompasses, so families can come to one place where it's a little easier. It's a safe environment, it's controlled. We'll have 4-H going at the same time, and we'll have a table in the park as well. I'll give a little bit away, but we'll probably have our enrollment event going on in the Farm and Home building, because we'll need access to the internet and to power for our computers. So that'll be October. It'll be towards the end of October. So we'll push more information out when that comes, obviously, and invite the community to come. Yeah, anybody that can make it out. So a lot of things, man. It's been a while since we've been here, so
Yeah.
it seems a little scatterbrained. So each time you say something, it's like, oh wait, one more thing. Oh, one more thing.
I'll give you all another shot. Anything else we need to talk about today?
I don't think so.
I was say I always bring a fact, but I think I already did my facts.
Yeah, so it was like you did a lot of facts. I mean, the biggest thing will be for us when we find out stock the trailer. We're still patiently
waiting,
waiting
yeah.
on the results. So
Yep, and if you didn't hear, we did a couple updates during the fair. We ended up raising between $5,100 and $5,300, or value, we'll say, because some of that equates out to product and goods. And by weight, it was just under 12,000 pounds.
Wow. That's
So,
awesome.
Yep. So we delivered all of that to our local, our food banks here in the community. So we were able to get that taken care of, and yeah, they were more than appreciative of it. So we're very appreciative that how they responded, but then also the local companies and those that donated. Because what we did this year is we wanted the idea. Our junior leaders really headed it up. Is donate $100, stock the trailer for $100 was kind of the logo, and it was just a small monetary donation, but you do that over 30 different, 40, 50 different companies, and it adds up really quickly. And the majority that were approached wanted to be on board with it. They've donated more in some cases, and then even in a few cases, other companies were present, or just people that were like, "Oh, put us down for this much too. Come by and get it tomorrow. We'll have the check ready." So it took off very quickly, and it was really cool to see. I was thrilled. So, but yeah, I know that I've reached out a couple times, and they basically are like, "Stop bothering us." But there's one county, I guess, in the state that's not turned in their numbers yet. So they're waiting for them to turn their numbers in before they do like the official, because there's a big email they'll send out with what it is. I know that she said this year there was like 150,000 pounds across the state. That is one thing she could share with me. And when I crunched the numbers, like 9% of that was just Decatur County.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
I was like, it's pretty cool. So good on you, Decatur County.
Well, thank you all so much for coming in this morning. One more time, the phone number.
812-663-8388.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.